I never thought my life could become such a chaotic mess. But then again, I never thought I would be betrayed by the two people I trusted the most. I used to be the kind of guy who believed in loyalty, who thought that hard work and love were all you needed for a happy life. That all changed an hour before my wedding. Let me set the scene. The day was perfect. Blue skies, a cool breeze, and the kind of sunlight that makes everything look like it came out of a romance movie. The wedding venue, a charming estate with rolling green hills, was buzzing with excitement. Everyone I cared about was there. And then, there was Chelsea, my beautiful fiancée. She was everything I had ever wanted. Smart, funny, and absolutely stunning. At least that's what I thought. The day started like any other wedding morning. Me nervously sipping coffee, double-checking everything with my best man, Jason. Jason and I had been best friends since college, the kind of guy who always had your back until he didn't. Looking back now, I should have noticed the signs. The little jokes he made about Chelsea, the way he looked at her when he thought I wasn't watching. But hindsight is a cruel teacher. Then there was the groomsman, Evan. A guy Jason had insisted on inviting. I barely knew him, but Jason vouched for him. "He's hilarious," Jason had said. "Just the kind of guy you need to keep the party going." Little did I know that Evan was more of a trashy instigator than anything else. As the ceremony time grew closer, I decided to sneak away to clear my head. I ended up in a small side room that overlooked the garden where Chelsea was supposed to be getting ready. Out of habit, I checked my phone. That's when I saw the notification. The security app linked to my house had sent a motion alert. Curious, I opened the feed. What I saw made my blood run cold. There, in my own living room, was Chelsea. She wasn't alone. Jason and Evan were with her, and they weren't exactly sipping tea and talking about the weather. No, they were in the middle of what I can only describe as a scene straight out of the trashiest reality TV show you could imagine. Clothes were half off. Jason was saying things I can't repeat without wanting to punch a wall. And Chelsea? She was laughing like it was the best day of her life. I froze. My mind went blank. How the hell was this happening? On my wedding day, the love of my life and my so-called best friend were hooking up, with a groomsman cheering them on. The absurdity of it all hit me like a train. I could almost hear the laugh track from some cruel sitcom playing in the background. My first instinct was to storm out of the room, march down the aisle, and tell everyone what a lying, backstabbing piece of work Chelsea was. But then, a darker part of me, one I didn't even know existed, whispered, "Wait, let them dig their own graves." And that's exactly what I did. I took a deep breath and started recording the live feed from the security camera. Every laugh, every smug comment Jason made about how Adam will never find out was preserved in glorious, undeniable high definition. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped my phone, but I kept recording. This wasn't just betrayal. This was humiliation, and I wasn't going to let them get away with it. As I watched the scene unfold, I noticed something even more disturbing. Evan was egging them on, his phone out, filming the whole thing like some perverse documentarian. "This is gold," he snickered, zooming in on Chelsea's face as she whispered sweet nothings to Jason. "Adam doesn't deserve you. You're way too good for him." Too good for me? I had spent the last year busting my ass planning this wedding, making sure everything was perfect for her. I had let her move into my house rent-free because she said she needed to save money for the future. And here she was, proving that she didn't care about any of it, or me. But the worst part? The three of them started talking about the wedding. Jason joked about how funny it would be if they went through with the ceremony like nothing happened. "Imagine his face when he finds out." He laughed, sipping a drink that I was pretty sure came from my liquor cabinet.
Chelsea giggled.
"I'll just tell him he's being paranoid. He's always so trusting. It's almost cute." I felt like I was going to throw up. Every word was a knife twisting in my gut. But instead of breaking down, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to expose them. I was going to make sure they regretted ever thinking they could mess with me. By the time I returned to the bridal suite, I had a plan. Chelsea was there, looking every bit the glowing bride in her white dress. If I hadn't seen what I had, I might have fallen for her smile all over again. But now all I could see was a liar hiding behind a veil. "Hey, "Babe," she said, her voice dripping with sweetness. "Are you ready for our big moment?" "Almost," I replied, forcing a smile. "Just a few things to take care of first." She didn't notice the tension in my voice. Why would she? She thought she had me wrapped around her finger. As the ceremony drew closer, I made a quick call to the venue coordinator. I told her there was a slight change in the reception's audiovisual setup and that I'd need access to the projector. She agreed without question. After all, I was the groom, and no one ever expects the groom to have ulterior motives. Back at the venue, the guests were taking their seats, the music was playing softly, and Chelsea was busy taking photos with her bridesmaids. Jason and Evan had arrived, acting like nothing was amiss. Jason even slapped me on the back and said, "Nervous? Don't worry, man. You're about to marry the girl of your dreams." The audacity of this man was astounding. I played along, giving him a tight smile and a nod. "Thanks, Jason. Means a lot coming from you." Evan chimed in, grinning like the Cheshire Cat. "It's going to be an unforgettable day." Oh, they had no idea how right they were. When it was finally time for the ceremony, I stood at the altar, surrounded by friends and family. Chelsea walked down the aisle, radiant and glowing, and for a brief second, I felt a pang of sadness. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it was a ticking time bomb, and I was the one holding the detonator. The vows started, and I let Chelsea go first. She looked me straight in the eyes and said all the things you'd expect. How much she loved me, how I was her rock, her soulmate, the man she wanted to grow old with. Her words were so convincing that I almost doubted myself, almost. When it was my turn, I took a deep breath and began. "Chelsea," I said, my voice steady, "you've made me the happiest man in the world, or at least you almost did." The audience murmured, confused. Chelsea's smile faltered. What do you mean?" she whispered. "Well," I said, pulling my phone from my pocket, "let's just say I found out a few things about you and my so-called best man. And Evan, of course. You all really had a great time at my house earlier." "Huh?" The color drained from her face. Jason stiffened, and Evan's smirk disappeared faster than I thought was humanly possible. The crowd was dead silent. "Let me save you all some time," I continued, holding up my phone. "For those who are curious, I'll be sharing the full video with everyone during the reception. Don't worry, it's been professionally edited." Chelsea stammered, her face a mixture of shock and horror. "Adam, wait, I can explain." "Explain?" I cut her off, my voice rising. "You think there's an explanation for what I saw? For what you did?" "No, Chelsea. The only explanation I need is why I ever trusted you in the first place." The guests were frozen in disbelief, their heads swiveling between me, Chelsea, and Jason like they were watching some twisted soap opera unfold live. Chelsea's mom stood up, her hand clutching her chest. "Adam, what are you talking about? This is your wedding day." "Was my wedding day?" I corrected her sharply. Until I found out that Chelsea decided to spend her morning in bed with Jason. Oh, and Evan was there for moral support. Isn't that right, Evan? Evan looked like he wanted to crawl under a table and disappear. Jason, ever the bold one, stepped forward, his hands raised in mock surrender. "Adam, let's not make a scene. Let's talk about this privately." I couldn't help but laugh. "A scene? Oh, Jason, we passed scene about 10 minutes ago. You want to play this cool now? How about we rewind to this morning, when you and Chelsea thought it would be fun to trash my trust and my house?" Chelsea finally found her voice, though it was shaky and filled with desperation. "Adam, please, it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." "Oh, a mistake?" I shot back, my tone dripping with sarcasm. "So, what was it? Did you trip and fall into bed with Jason? Did your clothes just magically fly off?" "Spare me the excuses, Chelsea. You knew exactly what you were doing." The murmurs among the guests grew louder, and someone in the back audibly gasped when I pulled up the video on my phone. "For anyone doubting me," I said, holding up the screen, "here's the proof. Chelsea, Jason, and Evan, stars of their own little adult drama. Coming soon to a wedding reception near you." Jason lunged toward me, his face red with anger. Turn that off, Adam. You don't want to do this. I stepped back, a grin spreading across my face. Oh, I absolutely want to do this. In fact, I'm just getting started. The officiant tried to intervene. Perhaps we should take a moment to calm down. No need, I interrupted. The show's over. Everyone can go home. Or, if you're curious, you can stick around for the reception. The bar's still open, and I've got a little entertainment planned. Chelsea broke down, tears streaming down her face. She reached out to grab my hand, but I pulled away like her touch burned me. Adam, please, I love you. I made a mistake, but it's you I want to marry. I shook my head, my voice cold and final. You do not get to cry your way out of this, Chelsea. You had your chance and you blew it. Enjoy your life with Jason or Evan, or whoever else you decide to betray next. Chelsea collapsed into a sobbing heap, her white dress pooling around her like some ironic symbol of purity gone wrong. Jason, realizing there was no salvaging his image, tried to save face by addressing the guests. Look, everyone, he began, holding his hands up. This is all a misunderstanding. Adam is blowing things way out of proportion. Out of proportion? I cut him off, laughing bitterly. Jason, you literally filmed yourself screwing my fiancée. Do you think I am stupid? Because I have the receipts to prove otherwise. The murmurs among the guests turned into whispers, and I could hear someone say, This is better than any wedding I've ever been to. Evan, who had been sitting quietly in the back, decided now was his time to chime in. Hey man, let's just chill. Okay? No need to ruin the whole day for everyone else. That was it. I lost it. Ruin the day? Ruin the day? Evan, you were part of this mess. You sat there and filmed it like some sleazy cameraman for a low-budget porno. And now you want to talk about ruining the day? You are all trash. Evan shrank back in his chair, his usual smugness replaced by visible discomfort. Good. Let him squirm. At this point, Chelsea's father stood up, his face red with embarrassment and fury. Chelsea, he barked. Is this true? Tell me this is not true. Chelsea looked up at him, mascara streaming down her face, and whimpered, Dad,
I'm sorry.
Her father groaned and put his hands on his head, muttering something about how he knew this wedding was too expensive to be worth it. Her mom looked like she was about to faint. Everyone, I announced. You can all stay for the reception if you want. The food is paid for, the drinks are free, and you might as well enjoy yourselves. I, however, will not be attending. I walked off, leaving Chelsea sobbing and Jason standing there like a deer caught in headlights. My steps echoed through the venue as I headed straight to the parking lot. I had no idea where I was going, but anywhere was better than there. Back at my car, I sat in silence, my hands gripping the steering wheel. My head was spinning. What the hell had I just done? I had dreamed of this day for months, planned every detail down to the flowers and the stupid gold napkin rings. And now it was all over. But then, as I stared out the windshield, something shifted. A strange sense of satisfaction crept in. Sure, my life was in shambles, but at least I had exposed the truth. They thought they could humiliate me, but I had turned the tables. I decided to head back to my house. My house, the one Chelsea had treated like her personal hookup pad. The irony of it all wasn't lost on me. When I arrived, the place was still a mess from their little morning escapade. Empty bottles on the coffee table, clothes strewn across the floor. I felt a surge of anger and began cleaning up, throwing their stuff into trash bags like it was toxic waste. As I worked, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jason. Of course, it was,
Adam, I'm sorry.
Please let's talk. This has all been a huge misunderstanding. I stared at the message, my hand hovering over the delete button. Then I typed back, A misunderstanding is when you forget to invite someone to dinner. Sleeping with my fiancé is a betrayal. Don't ever contact me again. I hit send and blocked his number. 1 down, 2 to go. I collapsed onto the couch, the same one they had been sitting on just hours ago, and let out a bitter laugh. My life had turned into some kind of trashy reality show, the kind people watch to feel better about their own messes. Well, at least I was providing entertainment. As I sat there, scrolling through my phone aimlessly, another text popped up. This time it was from Chelsea. Adam, I know I messed up. Please, can we talk? I love you. I was stupid, but I swear I want to make it right. I stared at the message for a long time. The audacity of her to claim love after what she had done. It was almost comical. Almost. I started typing, deleted it, typed again, deleted it again. Finally, I settled on, Chelsea, love does not involve betrayal. Stay away from me. Before I could even hit send, another message came through. This one from an unknown number. You think you're so smart, huh? Jason's not the bad guy here. If you were a better man, maybe Chelsea wouldn't have strayed. It had to be Evan. Who else would be that dumb and shameless? I felt my blood boil. Not because what he said had any merit, but because he thought he had the right to say it at all. I blocked the number without replying. By the next morning, word had spread like wildfire. My phone was blowing up with messages from friends, family, and even people I had not spoken to in years. Everyone wanted the scoop. A few people offered their condolences. Most just wanted to know if the rumors were true. But the best message of all came from Chelsea's maid of honor, Natalie. She had been one of the only people who seemed genuinely supportive during the engagement. Her text read, Adam, I heard what happened. I always thought Chelsea was selfish, but I never thought she'd stoop this low. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I debated whether to respond. Was it a trap? A way to gather more gossip? But something about her message felt sincere. So I replied, Thanks, Natalie. It has been a rough couple of days. Within minutes, she replied, Let me know if you want to grab a drink and vent, or just set something on fire. I won't judge. That made me laugh for the first time in what felt like forever. Might take you up on that, I typed back. Later that afternoon, I got a call from Chelsea's dad. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. Adam, he said, his voice heavy. I do not even know what to say. I had no idea my daughter was capable of this. Neither did I replied, keeping my tone neutral. Guess we both learned something. He sighed deeply. For what it is worth, I am sorry. You are a good man and you did not deserve this. If there is anything I can do, let me know. The apology caught me off guard. It was not like he had anything to apologize for, but I appreciated the gesture. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. I appreciate that. Please call me Jim, he said. And Adam, if you ever want to sit down and talk, I am here. You were going to be part of our family, and I still think of you as one. After we hung up, I felt an odd sense of relief. Not everything had fallen apart. Sure, my relationship and friendship were in shambles, but at least I had not lost everyone. But I knew this was not over yet. Jason and Chelsea had not tried to contact me again, which was both a relief and a concern. Knowing Jason, he would not just slink away quietly. And Chelsea? Well, I was not sure if her tears were real or just part of the act. It was not long before I found out just how low Jason and Chelsea were willing to go. A few days later, I got a call from one of my coworkers, Tom. He sounded hesitant, like he was not sure if he should be telling me this. Adam, I thought you should know. Jason's been spreading some stuff about you. He's saying you overreacted, that you've been unstable for a while. He's even telling people you made the whole thing up. I gripped the phone tighter. He's what? Yeah, Tom continued. He's been saying that Chelsea was just upset because you've been controlling and that you twisted everything to make her look bad. The audacity, the sheer nerve of this guy. He cheats with my fiancée, and now he's trying to paint me as the villain? Thanks for letting me know, I said, my voice tight. If he keeps talking, let me know. And Tom, don't believe a word he says. Of course not, man, he replied. I know you. Jason's full of it. Hanging up, I realized this was going to be a war. Jason clearly wanted to control the narrative, but I had something he didn't. Proof. Later that evening, I uploaded a carefully edited clip of the security footage to a private folder and shared it with a select group of friends. The clip was damning. Jason and Chelsea on my couch, laughing about how they were going to keep the whole thing a secret. No explicit scenes, just enough to show the betrayal. Within hours, the clip had been shared among my social circles. People who had been on the fence suddenly knew the truth. Jason and Chelsea's little smear campaign crumbled before it even began. That was not enough for me, though. I wanted them to feel the same humiliation I had felt. So, I did something petty, something I would not normally do, but this was not a normal situation. I posted a cryptic status on social media. Sometimes the people closest to you turn out to be the biggest snakes. Thank God for security cameras. The comments started pouring in. People knew exactly who I was talking about, and the gossip spread like wildfire. Jason and Chelsea had wanted to play dirty, but they underestimated just how much dirt I had on them. A week passed, and I started to feel like I was finally regaining control of my life. Then, one evening, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, there stood Chelsea, looking like a wreck. Her hair was a mess, her eyes puffy from crying, and she clutched a crumpled tissue in her hand. "Adam," she started, her voice trembling. "Please, can we talk?" I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. What could you possibly have to say that I would want to hear? She stepped closer, her lower lip quivering. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I swear, I'll do anything to fix this. I'll go to therapy, I'll cut Jason out of my life, anything. Just give me another chance." Her desperation was almost convincing, but I had seen too much. "Chelsea, you're only here because everyone knows the truth now. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught." "That's not true," she cried, tears streaming down her face. "I love you, Adam. I made a mistake, but it doesn't mean I don't love you." I shook my head, laughing bitterly. "Love? Is that what you call it? Because where I'm from, love doesn't involve screwing your fiancé's best friend and letting some idiot film it." Chelsea's tears kept flowing, but I had no sympathy left to give. She stepped closer, her hand reaching out to touch mine, but I pulled back like she was contagious. "Adam, please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't want to lose you. You lost me the second you decided Jason was worth more than what we had," I replied coldly. "You made your bed, Chelsea. Literally. Now you can lie in it, with him." Her face crumpled, and she sank onto the porch steps. For a moment, I felt a flicker of pity. She looked completely defeated. But then I reminded myself of everything she had done. The lies, the betrayal, the absolute disregard for my feelings. Pity turned to disgust. "Chelsea, go home," I said, my voice firm. "There's nothing left to talk about." She looked up at me, desperation flashing in her eyes. "Adam, I'll do anything. Please, just tell me what I can do to make this right." "You can leave," I said, stepping back inside and closing the door. The click of the lock was the most satisfying sound I'd heard in days. The next morning, I woke up to another barrage of texts. This time, they were from mutual friends who had apparently gotten an earful from Jason. He was trying to spin the story again, painting himself as a victim. "Adam overreacted," he claimed. Chelsea was confused. "It wasn't as bad as he's making it sound." I laughed bitterly at my phone. The guy just did not know when to quit. One text stood out, though. It was from Natalie, the maid of honor. "Jason's been talking a lot of crap," she wrote. "But don't worry, people aren't buying it. Let me know if you need anything." I decided it was time to take Natalie up on her offer. She seemed to be the only person in Chelsea's circle who had any sense of decency. We met later that evening at a quiet bar downtown. As soon as I walked in, Natalie waved me over, a sympathetic smile on her face. "Adam," she said as I sat down, "you look like you've been through hell." "That's one way to put it," I replied, ordering a drink. "Thanks for meeting me." "Of course," she said. "I always thought Chelsea was a little selfish, but I never expected her to do something like this." I nodded, taking a sip of my drink. "I guess I was blind to it. She played the part so well, you know? The perfect fiancé, the perfect partner. Turns out it was all an act." Natalie frowned, swirling her glass. "She's been texting me non-stop, begging me to talk to you on her behalf. But honestly, Adam, I think you're better off without her. Yeah, well, that makes two of us, I said with a bitter laugh. Jason's been running his mouth too, trying to make himself look like the victim. Typical, Natalie scoffed. He always thought he was untouchable. He's been getting away with crap like this for years because no one ever called him out. Well, he's not getting away with it this time, I said firmly. I've got the proof, and I'm not afraid to use it. Natalie raised her glass. Good. People like him and Chelsea deserve to be exposed. As the night went on, I felt a strange sense of comfort talking to Natalie. She got it. She understood the betrayal, the anger, the need for closure. By the time we parted ways, I felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted off my chest. But as I drove home, my mind wandered back to Chelsea. What was she doing now? Did she honestly believe she could repair the damage? And Jason, was he still trying to save face? Or had he finally realized how much he had screwed up? The next few days were surprisingly quiet. Chelsea and Jason had gone radio silent, which was both a relief and unnerving. Part of me expected some dramatic stunt, but nothing happened. It was almost disappointing in a way. After all the chaos, the silence felt too easy. That is, until a package arrived on my doorstep. A small, neatly wrapped box with a note attached. The handwriting was unmistakable. It was Chelsea's. I sighed, debating whether to even open it. Curiosity got the better of me, and I tore the note off first. Adam, I know I cannot undo what I did, but I hope this shows you how sorry I am. Please, at least look at it. Inside the box was a photo album, a beautifully crafted one, with our names engraved on the cover. I flipped it open, and there they were, pictures of us from the very beginning. Our first date, our first trip together, the day we got engaged. Each photo had a handwritten note next to it, recounting the memory. For a split second, I felt a pang of nostalgia. The memories were real, even if the person she had turned out to be was not. But then I got to the last page and my blood boiled. It was a picture of us at our engagement party, with Jason standing between us. Her note read, I know this is when it all went wrong, but I wish I could go back and fix it. I slammed the album shut and tossed it onto the coffee table. She had some nerve. She thought a scrapbook could erase everything, as if a few photos and apologies could undo the betrayal. Later that evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Adam, it's Jason. My grip on the phone tightened. What the hell do you want? Look, man, I know you hate me right now, and you have every right to, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I laughed bitterly. You're sorry? For what, Jason? For betraying me? For sleeping with Chelsea? Or for getting caught? Come on, Adam, he said, his voice pleading. I messed up. I know that. But I don't want this to ruin everything we've built. Everything we've built? I repeated, incredulous. Jason, there's nothing left. You destroyed it the moment you decided my fiancé was fair game. There was a long pause. Then, he said something that made my stomach turn. You know, Chelsea told me she wasn't happy. She said you were too focused on work, that you weren't giving her enough attention. I think she just needed someone to make her feel wanted. I could feel the anger rising in my chest. So you thought it was your job to fill the gap? To make her feel wanted? You're unbelievable. She came to me, Adam, he said quietly. I didn't go looking for this. And you just couldn't say no, huh? I snapped. You couldn't be a decent human being and tell her to work things out with me? Instead, you decided to stab me in the back. I'm not proud of it, he admitted. But what's done is done. Maybe it's for the best. For the best, I said, my voice dangerously calm. Jason, the best thing you can do right now is lose my number. I hung up before he could say another word. My hands were shaking as I set the phone down, the rage bubbling just under the surface. How dare he try to justify what he had done? How dare he act like he was doing me a favor? As the days passed, I threw myself into work, trying to forget everything. But no matter how hard I tried, the betrayal lingered like a shadow, following me everywhere. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces, Chelsea's fake tears, Jason's smug grin. It was like they had taken up permanent residence in my mind. But then, out of nowhere, karma struck. One evening, as I was mindlessly scrolling through social media, a post caught my eye. It was from a mutual friend, and it featured Jason. The caption read, "Never thought I'd see the day when Mr. Perfect got what he deserved." Curious, I clicked on the post and was greeted with a picture of Jason, shirtless, covered in some kind of sticky liquid, and looking utterly defeated. The comments were brutal. Guess karma finally caught up with him. Looks like someone isn't so untouchable after all. I can't believe he thought he'd get away with it. Scrolling further, I found out what had happened. Apparently, Jason had tried to hit on someone else's girlfriend at a bar. The boyfriend, a linebacker for a local football team, did not take kindly to it. Things escalated, and Jason ended up getting drenched in beer and escorted out by security. To top it all off, someone recorded the whole thing and posted it online. I laughed so hard I almost fell off the couch. It was not exactly justice for what he had done to me, but it was satisfying to see him taken down a peg. Meanwhile, Chelsea's life was unraveling in its own special way. A mutual friend texted me one night with an update. Chelsea's parents found out everything. Her dad kicked her out of the house. She's staying with a friend now. For a moment, I felt a flicker of guilt. I had always gotten along with her parents, especially her dad. They were good people, and they didn't deserve to be dragged into this mess. But then I remembered her actions and decided she had brought this on herself. The friend added, "Oh, and she's been telling everyone that you're the one who ruined her life." Classic Chelsea. Of course, she was playing the victim. I was not surprised. But at this point, I had stopped caring what she thought or said. Her opinion meant nothing to me. A few days later, Natalie texted me again. "Hey, just thought you'd want to know. I ran into Chelsea at the store. She looked rough." "How rough are we talking?" I replied, smirking at my phone. "Like last call at a dive bar rough," Natalie wrote back. "She tried to talk to me, but I shut her down. Told her she made her bed and now she has to lie in it." I laughed, genuinely grateful for Natalie's bluntness. "Thanks for having my back," I wrote. "Always," she replied. "By the way, when are we getting that drink?" I hesitated for a moment before typing back, "How about tonight?" Meeting up with Natalie that evening felt different this time. There was no awkwardness, no heavy weight of the past hanging over us. She made me laugh in a way I had not in weeks, and for the first time I felt like I was starting to move on. "You know," Natalie said, sipping her drink, "you're handling this a lot better than most people would. If I were in your shoes, I'd probably be in jail by now." I chuckled. Trust me, I thought about it. But honestly, watching them destroy their own lives has been way more satisfying. She raised her glass. "To karma doing the heavy lifting." "To karma," I agreed, clinking my glass against hers. As the weeks turned into months, I began to rebuild my life. Jason and Chelsea faded into the background, becoming little more than unpleasant memories. Natalie and I started spending more time together. Not as a rebound, but as two people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company. It was not a love story, at least not yet, but it was something real, something grounded. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe again. The scars of betrayal were still there, but they no longer defined me. I was not the guy who got cheated on anymore. I was the guy who survived, who came out stronger, who learned to laugh again. And that, to me, was the best revenge of all.